Alright, so we're going to start putting the front end back together. Here are the two new thrust washers that I needed. Currently I have the spindle sitting in the parts washer, trying to get it cleaned up. And you can see, let me move the parts here. You can actually see how much wear is on these old thrust washers. Now some of that is paint that's been painted over, but there is some wear on them. So hopefully replacing the thrust washers will eliminate some of the looseness that was in the front end. Something I had not noticed up until this point was the fact that this front, I guess, I don't even know what you would call it. This front rod right here has been repaired. I don't even know how I missed that, but all part of when the front end came off this tractor in the past. So that's something else. That's a part that I'll eventually need to replace. So I'm working on replacing the grease fittings, and so what I've done is I've actually got this grease fitting replaced. I have made sure it was worked and everything. There's the old one right there. It wasn't closing, and so I just went ahead and replaced it. And I'll replace the grease fitting in the main spindle as well. It's got a grease fitting in the bottom. But yeah, so I'll get that hub, the spindle assembly cleaned up, and once I get it cleaned up, then I will go ahead and I will come back and put the pin back in and everything else, and we'll get it reassembled. Alright, well, I have some slightly depressing news. I'm not all that shocked about it. I went to go assemble the spindle. So I've got my spindle here. It's much cleaner than it was. And yeah, you can see my kingpin, or my pin here, has a lot more play than I would like. And also, in the process of cleaning it, this bushing fell out, which I thought they had to be pressed in, and when you actually put the bushing onto the pin, the bushing is very, very worn, and so that is definitely a problem. So I think before I do anything, I need to go ahead and replace all four of these bushings. Now they're $21.03 a piece, so I'll have to order these this week. I was hoping I didn't need to replace these, but might as well do it now while I got everything apart. The tractor's not moving anytime soon because the pony's out, and we'll go from there. Now, one thing I am slightly concerned about, and I'll probably bring this over to the light. Try not to drop my kingpin there. So one thing I am slightly concerned about, the texture inside the bore there is, there's lines on it until it gets to this outside right there, and I don't know how well I'm going to be able to pick this up on the camera. So it's slightly concerning that there is wear within the spindle. That doesn't really excite me all that much. Let's see if I can break my spindle here by putting it on the pulley. But when you put this in there, it just kind of chills out. I didn't think it was that loose, but I mean it is really, really loose in there. So I need to order the bushings and go from there. So it'll be a couple more weeks before I get the front wheels back on it. Another thing I was thinking about while I'm doing this is, because I have the front wheels off and everything, I was considering going ahead, and I have no earthly idea how well the bushing in the front axle, how it looks. Now, part of me says that I don't even need to pay attention to that, because the eventual plan is to find a parts 820 and replace that whole section of the frame, which would include the front axle bushing, and that bushing is no longer available through Deere, so I don't even think I want to spend the money at this time, or the effort to drop that axle out, because I'm sure that axle is very, very heavy. So I think we're just going to stick with bushings and go from there on the front axle. But it was a thought that maybe I needed to drop the axle, but I think I've mostly talked myself out of it. So that's about all the progress on the front end right now. I will continue to clean up all the parts. I will have to note, and this is something I've kind of talked about this before, but let me get it all set up here. All right, so when you repaint a machine, I think it's really, really important to get all the crud off of it. Not just what you can see by 10 feet away. Because if you look, all of this grease and everything that's in here has actually been painted over. Sure, there's some that's come out in the process of brushing and everything. And I'll, now that I've got a couple more weeks to put this wheel back together, I'll go ahead and get all that cleaned out of there. But I don't know what possesses people to, oh, we're just going to spray some paint on it real quick. It's just really aggravating. Don't short yourself. If you're going to try to make it look good, why are you going to try to short yourself? The trouble of coming back to try to do it later. This was a state tractor, and I'm not complaining about this. I bought it. I pretty much knew everything about it when I bought it. I'm not complaining about the cost of doing anything or anything like that. But that's, it's just one of those things that, take your time when you're doing this kind of stuff. If you're going to restore it right. Don't just, spray some green paint on it and call it good and go, haha, we're done. But anyway, that's just a kind of a side note to make this video at least worth watching. So anyway, I will carry on with the front end. I did want to give you an update with that. I'll keep replacing all the grease zerks and everything. I'll do all that. So anyway, thanks for watching.